The film begins with Richard Rich, a billionaire and philanthropist, announcing the birth of his son, Richie Rich. Herbert Cadbury, Richie's devoted butler, recounts his boyhood memories. He was named the world's wealthiest child as soon as he was born. Richard, although operating a big corporate empire, spends time with his kid, according to the narrator. Richie's passion in baseball can be traced back to his boyhood, and as a teenager, he can be seen playing baseball with the servants in his vast backyard. Although Richie has all he desires, he lacks pals with whom to play and enjoy his time at the United Tools factory. Richard reopens and sends his son on his behalf since he needs to go on an essential business trip. It is the plant that Richard recently salvaged from bankruptcy. Richie arrives with Cadbury and addresses the entire crowd. While on stage, he watches some kids his age playing baseball in a nearby field. Ferguson, his overbearing bodyguard, prevents him from attending the game. Cadbury steps in and gently takes Richie away, explaining that he has a full agenda. He also cautions Ferguson about his physical abuse of Richie. Richie glances at the youngsters on the helicopter and understands that there is something missing in his life that money cannot purchase. Richard has finally returned home from his week-long business trip in the following scenario. He critiques the family portrait that was taken on a nearby peak. Richie approaches him at the same time, and Richard is overjoyed to meet his small son. Richie tries to tell him about the youngster he saw earlier playing baseball, but Richard simply ignores it because he is too preoccupied with his work. Richie then requests permission from his mother, Regina, to invite his buddies home. Regina agrees, but only under the condition that he invite only his classmates. This irritates Richie, who despises his classmates. Cadbury then informs him that it is time for him to go his chemistry class with Professor Keenbean's science lab. Professor Keenbean shows Richie his latest inventions. He allows him to play with a robotic bee he created after investing $1 million. However, Richie accidentally flies the bee over Cadbury, who destroys it within seconds. Richie gets chased out of the chemistry lab by a furious Keenbean. Late at night, we see Rich Industries' crooked CFO, Laurence Van Dough, pays Richard a business visit. While proposing security upgrades, he learns that the Rich family fortune is kept in the Rich family vault. Van Dough is shown planning an attack on the Rich household and stealing their belongings with Ferguson. Richie attempts to get his school pals to have fun and hang out at his apartment, but none of them appear interested because all they worry about is money. On his way back home, Richie takes a break from his hectic schedule and requests that his chauffeur take him to the United Tools area, where he had previously seen the youngsters playing baseball. When Richie arrives and sees the youngsters playing baseball, he immediately wants to join them. The kids believe otherwise and mock Richie, believing that he is too privileged to know how to play baseball. Richie then places a $10 wager with the kids, promising them he'll hit a home run. The kids accept the wager right away, and when a girl, Gloria, throws the ball, Richie swings his bat, hits a home run, and wins the bet. He then invites them to a party at his house. Gloria, on the other hand, declines his invitation. As Richard is taking Richie to see Queen Elizabeth on her birthday, Ferguson sets a bomb in the family's private plane. Regina detects something odd with Richie and questions Cadbury about it. She decides to let Richie stay at home and enjoy the weekend while she follows Richard on the vacation. Cadbury surprises Richie by announcing that he's discreetly invited the youngsters from the baseball game to come over. The kids are immediately impressed by the Rich mansion, and they soon find themselves playing various activities with Richie. Richie has also run a McDonald's restaurant for his buddies inside his estate. Cadbury, on the other hand, spends time with Gloria's mother, Diane. Richie gradually gains favor among the children. Richard desires chocolates after spending the day with him on their journey to see the Queen and begins looking for them inside the plane. He takes up his Smellmaster, a Keenbean device, and scans the gifts for the Queen to find the chocolates. The Smellmaster unintentionally discovers a detonator wrapped inside a gift. He manages to throw the explosive out his window once Richard and Regina realize what it is. With only a few seconds left, despite his efforts, the TNT explodes near the aircraft, causing damage to the rear section of the plane. As a result, the plane begins to crash into the ocean. While the kids are leaving the estate, Richie learns that Cadbury contacted them with the promise of $100. Cadbury informs Richie after they leave that his parents' plane has gone missing. Richie quickly sets out to locate his father via their special communication line, Dadlink. Soon after, we witness Richard and Regina survive the plane crash and are rescued by a life raft. Regina feels Van Dough was behind the bombing and advises Richard fire him. The couple also decides that they must survive for the sake of their son, whose life is now in jeopardy. Van Dough returns to the Rich estate, convinced that the entire Rich family has died. As a result, he rushes to Richard's office to take over his position. As the leader of the Rich corporation, He attempts to govern the corporation and begins by eliminating the Rich family's charitable contributions. First and foremost, he discontinues the charity given to the United Tool Factory, which results in the firing of the factory's employees. Gloria phones Richie to alert him about the charity cancellation because her mother also works at the factory. Richie resolves to take action against Van Dough after hearing this. He contacts the office with Cadbury and informs Van Dough that he would assume his father's post until his father arrives. Van Dough attempts to deceive him by telling him he is a minor, but Cadbury steps up to save Richie. Cadbury explains that as a third parent, he has access to Richie's proxy rights. First and foremost, Richie reopens the United Tool Factory and then returns to office work. Gloria and her friends are quickly employed as a research and development team for Richie Rich nut bars after visiting Richie's workplace. Van Dough, tired of Richie's antics, attempts but fails to persuade the board members. Some police officers barge into the meeting room one day and arrest Cadbury. Van Dough had set him up as a suspect in the murders of Richard and Regina. After Cadbury is arrested, Van Dough becomes Richie's official guardian, giving him the authority to make critical business decisions. After taking power, Van Dough fires all of Rich's servants and installs CCTV cameras around the mansion to keep an eye on Richie. Keen Bean, on the other hand, overhears Van Dough and Ferguson plotting to kill Cadbury inside the prison. He quickly notifies Richie of their plan and hands him a special chemical to treat Cadbury, which will aid him in damaging the prison bars and escaping. Cadbury is going to brush his teeth in the jail bathroom when he is ambushed by a hitman dispatched by Van Dough to kill him. He does, however, manage to knock out the hitman and escape from prison using the chemical. Cadbury meets Richie outside the prison, who shows him a newspaper article claiming that the wreckage of the crashed jet has been discovered, but no remains have been discovered. This leads Richie to believe that his parents are still alive. After that, Richie walks straight to Gloria's house, where Diane looks after Cadbury while Richie hacks his Dadlink's interface using Gloria's computer system. On the raft, Richard removes Regina's earring and connects it to the GPS locator to activate it. They are now confident that their kid will be able to locate them. Meanwhile, Van Dough and Ferguson confront Keen Bean in order to learn more about the Rich family vault. Keen Bean informs them that he is unaware of the vault's location and just knows that it is opened by the Rich couple's voice order. Just as Richie realizes his parents are still alive and is about to identify their location coordinates, Ferguson is told of the act and disconnects the father link. Ferguson then informs Van Dough that Richard and Regina are still alive. Van Dough later saves Richard and Regina and returns them to the mansion. The kids can also be seen outside the mansion devising a strategy to get Richie up to his Dadlink gadget. Richie enters the mansion after passing through the guards and discovering Professor Keen Bean chained to a chair. Richie and his friends set Keen Bean free and turn off all the surveillance cameras. Keen Bean, on the other hand, pours one of his prepared chemicals into the water fountain, causing bubbles to form all over it and distracting the security guards. Richie enters his room and activates the father connection to locate his father within the estate. In the following scene, Richie and Cadbury are shown inside a room with Richard and Regina. Van Dough kidnaps Richard and Regina and repeatedly tells them to open the vault for him. Richard informs them that the vault is on Mountain Richmore, where the family portrait is being erected. Richie and Cadbury were left with the security guards. Van Dough leads Richard and Regina to the vault in order for them to open it for him. Meanwhile, Richie, Diane, and Cadbury are taken to the chemistry lab and placed in a cage. Fortunately, Keen Bean appears and saves them all with his chemicals. Richie then runs to save his parents from Van Dough. The Rich couple opens their vault at Mount Richmore using voice commands. The vault is actually filled with Richie's childhood toys and Rich family memories. Van Dough is furious when he witnesses all of this because he expected the vault to contain billions of cash. Van Dough, enraged, attempts to kill Richard and Regina, but Richie arrives just in time and enters ravines. Van Dough shoots at him, but Richie is unhurt because to Keen Bean's bulletproof clothing. Instead, he attacks Van Dough and flees with his parents from the vault. Ferguson spots the Rich family as they attempt to flee. Whoever attempts to attack them, Cadbury fights Ferguson and disarms him from the laser using the rock-blasting laser that was initially used to make the artwork. Later, he used the same laser to destroy Van Dough, who is poised to fire on the Rich family. The Rich family was eventually able to destroy the evil Van Dough in this manner. On the final scene, we find Richie playing baseball with Gloria and her pals in the yard of Rich Manor, where Cadbury is the head coach. Richie hits a home run to help his team win the game. Van Dough, who is cultivating the lawn with Ferguson by his side and a police officer keeping an eye on them, picks up the baseball Richie hit. Richard and Regina are overjoyed to see Richie play baseball with his pals because they believe he has met true friends that money cannot buy. That was the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Subscribe for more material like this, and please press the like button to assist us. Also, if you want us to recap your favorite movie, leave a comment. Take care until the next time.